Good morning and welcome to the 2024 Middlesex County Business Summit. As you know, this is one of New Jersey's largest gatherings of CEO, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and government officials. It's certainly the place to be to network, which we'll do plenty of, and to talk to people, hear about best practices, hear about some really cool guests we have up here, and go from there. Again, I'm Tom, I'm the editor of RI&J, and I have the privilege of hosting this once again. And I'm excited to be here in Middlesex County, and I always joke, even though I'm a Morris County resident, Middlesex County is the tops in the state. I'll just say that. From what they were able to do, round of applause. I have one note here. Over the past 2 years alone, more than $1.1 billion in private investment has flowed into the county. So I was going to say, who needs county government to get all this private investment? But that's just an aside. Just down the street, as you know, the Health and Life Science Exchange is nearing completion, and if you don't know what the Health and Life Science Exchange is, that's the Helix. That's what we like to call it. Chris Palladino and Debco, which built this beautiful facility. A round of applause for this facility. They are putting the Helix together, which was once the biggest pile of dirt in the state, and is slowly coming out. On the same thing, the Jack and Cheryl Morris Cancer Center is going great guns as well, another Debco project. The county also has established something called Data City, the nation's first smart mobility lab in an active urban setting. Someone from Middlesex has put on the plates. Active urban setting. The county is also making major investments in infrastructure. You guys know about the train stations, both here and in North Brunswick. The CIO Strategic Investment Plan, which promotes new educational opportunities and community engagement through workforce development, through the county colleges, through the VOTEX that you have here. Again, the county works together better than anyone that can do it. I could go on, but as I know, no one came here to hear me, so I'm going to move on. Today you're going to hear a lot from great panelists. We're going to begin with a bunch of fireside chats. I've got Tim Sullivan, the CEO of the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. I've got Thierry Klein, the president of Nokia Bell Labs Solutions Research. And I have Anjali Kemlani, senior reporter of healthcare for Yahoo Finance, an all-star cast to say the least. After that, we're going to have a panel discussion, Innovate to Elevate, Shaping Tomorrow's Business Leaders, where some of the top leaders in the county will come together to give you hints on their success. And then we're going to have 2 breakout discussions. If you don't know all this, it's all good. Look at the QR code, find it, scan it in. There's agendas everywhere. Tons to see and do today. That being said, let's get ready for our jam-packed day. Let's get started. Someone's going to play a video.
Businesses thrive in Middlesex County, New Jersey. Growth is here. More innovative than 98% of the nation. Investment is here. $1.1 billion in private funding in 2022-2023. Talent is here. Top 4% in the nation for employment and productivity. You should be here too. Go to discovermiddlesex.com/thrive and schedule a meeting with a business advisor in your industry. Middlesex County, New Jersey. Move here. Thrive here.
Please welcome Middlesex County Commissioner Director Ronald G. Rios.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you all for joining us for our 2024 Middlesex County Business Summit. Thank you to Governor Murphy for being here with us today, as well as our Commissioner Chanel Scott McCollum, our Sheriff Millie Scott, our Prosecutor Yolanda Ciccone, County Administrator John Palomina, Mayor Brad Cohen from East Brunswick, Mark McCormick, our President of Middlesex College, Jorge Diaz, the Superintendent of our magnet schools, and Middlesex County Trades retired President Kevin Duncan. We are honored to have all of you with us, and I'd like to thank our esteemed speakers who will be joining us. We have some of New Jersey's most influential thought leaders here today. It's sure to be an inspiring and thought-provoking day. This year's theme, Innovate to Elevate, Shaping Tomorrow's Business Landscape, is particularly fitting because here in Middlesex County, we aren't just preparing for the future, we are already in it. Middlesex County has always been at the forefront of innovation. From the days of Thomas Edison inventing the incandescent light bulb just miles from here in Edison Township, and Johnson & Johnson choosing to base their world headquarters here in Middlesex County, to Middlesex County recognizing the need for skills-based learning and establishing the nation's first county-operated vocational technical school system, now the nationally ranked award-winning Middlesex County Magnet Schools. To most recently, Nokia Corporation announcing that the Helix, currently under construction just blocks from here, will be the new home for the East Coast Research and Development Hub. Innovation has always been more than a theme in Middlesex County. It is a quality and a belief that permeates our past, our present, and our future. And we continue to forge ahead, breaking new ground with Data City, the nation's first smart mobility living laboratory for autonomous technology in an urban area, made possible through our unique partnership with CAPE, the Center for Advanced Infrastructure and Transportation at Rutgers University. Data City is already operational, collecting data for public and private sector use to help make our roads safer and more efficient. Similarly, the Helix has been rising up over the past few months, creating a space where great minds in the life sciences and technology sectors will come together to collaborate and develop new ideas, new solutions, and a new reality beyond what many of us can even imagine today. And finally, there's our Community Innovation and Opportunity Strategic Investment Plan, which exemplifies our forward-thinking approach to capital investments as we strategically invest federal, state, and county funding to bring our vision to life. A vision of a destination that will transform this region, not only anticipating, but meeting the future recreational, athletic, and educational demands of this growing community. Like I said, in Middlesex County, we aren't just preparing for the future, it's already here. We're fostering an environment that supports innovators of all kinds, businesses and entrepreneurs across all industries, and we're doing it by investing not only in ideas, but in people and partnerships in ways that will elevate everyone in Middlesex County. Again, on behalf of the entire Board of County Commissioners, thank you for joining us for this year's summit. I hope you leave here today feeling more inspired and connected, and armed with information about the resources available to you through the county and the state. Thank you.
All right, if you guys are going to kick butt economically, you have to have a terrific economic development head. So I'm going to bring out Chanel Scott McCollum. She's a county commissioner and she's the chair of the Middlesex County Economic Development Corporation Committee.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm excited to be here today with you in our New Brunswick Performing Arts Center to commence our annual Middlesex County Business Summit. As a commissioner and chair of economic development, this event serves as an important source for new and exciting economic and business education and inspiration. In Middlesex County, education is everything. It is the bedrock for a strong and sustainable economic strategy. We know that access to good education is the key to unlocking new job opportunities. It can transform and uplift communities, and a good education is the foundation to build a steady talent pipeline and a skilled workforce that bolsters our industries. That's why we invest heavily in educational infrastructure. The Commissioner Director mentioned the county's innovative plans to transform Middlesex County College into a leading regional destination, not only for higher learning, but also for athletics, arts and culture, entertainment, workforce development, recreational space, and so much more. Our award-winning magnet school system, formerly called the Vocational Technical Schools, I'm sure you're very well familiar with that term, they keep winning industry awards and gaining national acclaim, including one of its schools being named the 2024 National Blue Ribbon School. With the #1 and #4 ranked high schools in New Jersey. With the trade industry suffering from talent scarcity, the Middlesex County Magnet Schools are reigniting interest in the trades like never ever before and fueling the pipeline for highly sought after skills. There's not enough time to tell you about the outstanding specialized learning that residents get at our public magnet schools. In this county, we can't succeed without our partnerships with public and private entities. We know relationships matter in business, and it certainly matters in government too. We build and heavily rely on our relationships in the community to achieve our long-term economic vision. Last year, we announced the RWJ Barnabas Health Workforce Partnership, and this summer, we unveiled our educational investment in the Heldridge Hotel and Conference Center. Both are crucial investments in education, providing residents with hands-on, real work experiences and interactive learning from industry experts that cannot be matched anywhere else in the U.S. And we are proud to continue to leverage our partnerships to benefit anyone or any business who calls Middlesex County home. We also offer community events like the Roaring 20s Jazz Party and our Folk Live Gospel Festival, and launched our new website, MiddlesexCountyCulture.com, a hub to arts, art and culture, education, and experiences. This is how we create a thriving economy and a community. Before I leave the stage, I want to say, many innovators are here in the audience today, and it truly inspires me. As innovators, I know you can truly appreciate that we are creating an innovative workforce and leaders of tomorrow. And that tomorrow is here today in Middlesex County. Thank you.
First guest, they gave me something to read, but I'm going to freelance here. I'm going to tell you two quick stories, one's funny and one's serious. The first one is, I've heard this for 6 years, when they talk about the governor, they say, he would be a great neighbor, right? You need a rake, you need a broom, you need a shovel, he's right there. You're running low on a little food and drink. As he often says, he's a Murphy, his bar is going to be fully stocked. And if you're playing the music too loud, the governor's going to come over and probably turn it up. On a serious note, I have had the pleasure to travel with the governor to a number of international destinations, Taiwan, Tokyo, Korea, and just recently Canada. And I just want to tell you, as a taxpayer of New Jersey, the professionalism that the governor and the First Lady show, they understand the culture that they're there, they know all the people they're meeting, they bring the right gifts, they learn how to pronounce their names, they learn key phrases. It's really unbelievable to see how well they ingratiate themselves in the communities they go to. They are not big time in anyone. They are there as representatives of New Jersey, and they do us well. Round of applause for that. Secondly, I will say, I've been on all of these trips, heard the governor give his, quote, stump speech on economic development. And I can tell you that each time it's delivered with a passion that you wouldn't believe. People always wonder who candidates, who politicians are out for. When you hear the passion when Governor Murphy talks about New Jersey, when he talks about economic development, he calls himself the head of sales, and he certainly is that. So a big round of applause for the head of sales and the governor of the great state of New Jersey, Bill Murphy.
I just said to Tom, he can introduce me anytime he would like. What a treat to be here today. Can we all agree on one thing, that we're from Jersey, baby? Make sure you're paying attention down there. Seriously, Tom, thank you for that very generous introduction. And Tom and Anjali is backstage as well. Two great examples of very tough but very fair members of the Fourth Estate. So Tom, thank you. And good morning, Middlesex County. It is so great to be back here with you all at this extraordinary Performing Arts Center to kick off this year's summit. We have a true all-star crew of visionaries from Central Jersey in the house with us today, including two leaders who you've heard from sharing the stage with me this morning, Middlesex County Commissioner Director Ronnie Rios, and we just heard from Middlesex County, Commissioner and Chair of Economic Development, Chanel Scott McCollum. I want to thank them. I want to thank all of their fellow commissioners for their shared commitment to driving growth and prosperity, not just here in New Brunswick, but throughout this extraordinary county. I want to also give a shout out to Port Authority Commissioner, Chair, first guy I ever sat with when I was even dreaming of running for governor, the extraordinary Kevin McCabe. Speaker Craig Coughlin hails from Middlesex County, one of my partners in government, to all the elected officials here today, especially our host mayor, Jim Cahill, and his council, distinguished guests. It's an extraordinary gathering. And I would just say that this summit is a true testament to the fact that Middlesex County has always been, and frankly always will be, an engine for innovating to elevate. In fact, it was right here in the hub city where New Jersey's reputation as the so-called medicine chest to the world was born. And that is a reputation that not just exists in our history, but that is growing even stronger by the day, thanks to the leadership of companies represented here today. I looked at the list: SHI International, Biocentric, Rocket Pharmaceuticals, to name three of the many here today, as well as the leadership of some of our nation's finest institutions of higher education and research, like Rutgers University, like Middlesex College. But perhaps one of the greatest symbols for this region's preeminent position when it comes to propelling New Jersey into the future can be found here as well. And that is because the site where the Helix, a world-class hub for research and innovation, is quickly coming to life. When we first broke ground on the Helix 3 years ago, in fact this month, our administration envisioned an epicenter for excellence in innovation. And in the year since we were last gathered for this summit, we received a major vote of confidence in support of that vision with the announcement that Nokia Bell Labs will be relocating to the Helix starting in 2028. And I want to take this opportunity once again to thank the team at Nokia Bell Labs, especially its president, who I was hanging out with backstage and who you will hear from shortly, Thierry Klein, for choosing New Jersey. When Thierry and his team first met, shamelessly fishing for applause. When Thierry and his team first began the search for Nokia Bell Labs' new home, they looked everywhere. Literally, when I say everywhere, everywhere around the country, and I believe everywhere around the world. And ultimately, all roads led them back not only to New Jersey, but to Middlesex County and right here in New Brunswick. And that is because I believe they recognized a simple yet profound truth. This region is going to be, frankly already is, at the forefront of a new century of discovery across a wide range of industries, from life sciences certainly, to autonomous technology, to generative artificial intelligence, and beyond. The fact is, even in today's extremely competitive and globalized economic landscape, Central Jersey has never been in a better position to shape the future of technology and innovation than it is right now. And I mean, just look at how far our state's economy has come over the past almost 7 years of our time in office. Together, I mean together, all of us, with the support of leaders in this hall this morning, we have doubled New Jersey's GDP growth. We have together emerged from the coronavirus pandemic as the #1 state in the entire Northeast for private sector job creation. And just a few months ago, New Jersey was ranked the 3rd most popular state in the entire country for venture capital investment, behind only California and New York, and by the way, they're a lot bigger than we are. And all of that was just 1 year after we were named the most improved state for business by CNBC. The bottom line is our state's economy, and the economy right here in Middlesex County and more broadly in Central Jersey, is roaring back to life in a big way. And on that front, I have to give a major credit to the CEO of the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, a great leader, Tim Sullivan. I was also hanging with him backstage, along with all of his colleagues, staff, and board members at the Economic Development Authority. You will all have a chance to hear from Tim directly in the next few minutes. And by the way, you can't make this up. He and I are together again later on today, right here in New Brunswick at the Helbert Center, celebrating the EDA's 50th birthday. As you will hear from Tim, again, I will not go into details on EDA's phenomenal work, but they're doing an enormous amount right here in Middlesex County. But I do want to mention the EDA's so-called Strategic Innovation Center Initiative. I call them innovation hubs, but that's the technical term, which has provided funding for a number of cutting-edge R&D hubs up and down our state, from the Helix, as I mentioned a few moments ago, to EdgeWorks, which is part of SciTech City in Jersey City, to the Princeton University Generative Artificial Intelligence Hub. By the way, there's not one like it in the entire world. Each one of these strategic innovation centers will help position our state to dominate the economy of tomorrow. And they will have an enormous impact on the startup culture in this state. Even when we were mismanaged over several decades, both sides of the aisle, by the way, guilty as charged, we largely held our own with large corporations. We lost our way completely with the startup community. And by the way, it's a lot cheaper and easier to birth a Microsoft or an Amazon than it is to pay to get them to come to the state. By the way, we do both, and we're happy to do both, but it's a lot cheaper, a lot more straightforward if they're born here. And one of, if not the central thesis in all these hubs, and we will have many more, including one that's already booming in Newark on carbon neutral manufacturing, so-called hacks. The central thesis is to kickstart our innovation startup economy. And the venture capital is sort of the oil that greases that machine, so to be #3 in the nation is a really good sign. And now we need to each of those hubs to start spinning off literally dozens of startups a year. That is our future as it relates to the economy. But as always, notwithstanding all these investments, our state's economic prowess is not merely rooted in a savvy investment strategy. It is more than anything, and Ronnie referred to this, rooted in the talent and creativity of the entrepreneurs, the workers, and the students who move our state forward. And as always, Middlesex County is a vital incubator for cultivating the skills and the potential of our state's emerging visionaries. And for proof of that, look no further than our local universities. Just last month, Rutgers, New Brunswick, was ranked top 15 public university in the entire nation, and that was the second year in a row. Princeton University ranked yet again #1 overall, and by the way, they threw in another Nobel Prize earlier this week. They throw in Nobel Prizes like I watched the Yankees last night. And as part of Middlesex County's Destination 2040 strategic plan, We are also working to cement Middlesex College's reputation as one of the very best two-year colleges, not just in New Jersey, but in the entire United States. And whether it be Rutgers or Middlesex College, our administration has been proud to invest literally tens of millions of dollars in supporting each of them over the past number of years. And that is not just because we're nice guys, it's because we believe that both of these institutions are essential to preparing our top minds to lead New Jersey into the future. I'll get that. We don't miss a thing up here. But beyond merely investing in Middlesex County's capacity to cultivate a new generation of leaders and problem solvers, our administration is also investing in this country's capacity to welcome in innovators and entrepreneurs from across the nation and around the world. And Tom was very gracious in his remarks about our economic missions. Let me just say this. I know enough in finishing up year 7, former chair of the National Governors Association, 2-time chair of the Democratic Governors Association. I say all that not to pat myself on the back. I say it simply because I know enough to be dangerous. And there's no state in America that sells better internationally than New Jersey. And there are a number of reasons which I won't get into, but there's no state that stacks up those reasons like our state. We are now calling New Jersey the world's state, and that's for good reason. And that's exactly why we have provided historic funding to modernize this region, to make it as attractive as possible. In one specific case, which is public transit infrastructure, so we can make it easier than ever for investors and industry leaders, whether they're from somewhere else in America or somewhere else in the world, so they can see everything Middlesex County has to offer. From a massive Metro Park redevelopment to the North Brunswick train station, the state has invested literally tens of millions of dollars into building a world-class transportation system right here in Middlesex County. And at the same time, thanks to many of the leaders in this room, we are building a stronger and healthier Middlesex County as well. One of my highest priorities as governor has been restoring trust in New Jersey, period, but also specifically its fiscal leadership. And we've been blessed with a whole bunch of credit rating agency upgrades over the past few years after having been downgraded before we got here time and time again. But we always, having said that, we're thrilled about those upgrades. We look up to Middlesex County, which has maintained a AAA bond rating for nearly a quarter of a century. And I might add, and more than $100 million surplus during this year alone. The point is, you all are already proving that this is a region that presents endless opportunities to everyone, from well-established Fortune 500 companies to new startups that are just getting literally off the ground. So in nearly every major category, whether it's our capacity to unlock game-changing innovations or our track record in cultivating a new generation of change makers, or simply the core underlying strengths of our economy, Middlesex County is paving a path forward, not just for New Jersey, but I would argue for the entire nation. And here at this year's summit, you do not have to look far to see proof of that fact. You can see it in the stories of companies like JackTool or View Therapeutics, each one of which is showcasing how we're building the economy of the future, right here again in Middlesex County and in New Jersey. You can also see each time you drive down Route 1, which is our very own corridor of innovation, which is lined with the names of venerated institutions like Rutgers, like Bell Labs, like Princeton University. These are the same institutions that helped put New Jersey's trailblazers and thinkers on the map literally decades ago, and they are putting us on the map once again, now in emerging realms of innovation, like digital health and generative AI. And thanks to all the progress that we've made, again, together, over these now almost 7 years, the Garden State has never been more prepared to reshape our world for the better. After all, we have never been a state that rests on our laurels, and we never will be. Because as a dear friend of mine in Middlesex County's very own Mr. Bon Jovi once advised, and I quote John, "Don't get too comfortable with who you are at any given time, because you may miss the opportunity to become who you want to be." I think that's a great quote. So, yeah, we're halfway there. So thank you all. I'm sure you're paying attention out there. So thank you all for never staying comfortable and for transforming Middlesex County into the hub for game-changing breakthroughs that we all want it to be. Now let's continue changing the game together and build a better future for every New Jerseyan in the process. I thank you once again for so graciously not just inviting me, but welcoming me at this extraordinary summit, and I wish you a fabulous summit together. Thank you.
So we knew that this event would draw big names and big people, and I'm going to tell you that I travel around the state doing a lot of these type of things, and I see certain people over and over again. One I understand is in the House, one of the hardest working legislators in the state, Assemblywoman Tennille McCoy is here somewhere, but the lights are down so I can't see it, but a round of applause. We're getting ready for our fireside chat with Tim Sullivan. So, let me move over here. All right, part two. Wow, that was big. Fireside chat time. It's time for Tim Sullivan. He is the CEO of the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. A great guy, a hard worker, and pretty funny too. We'll see if we can draw that out there. Tim, welcome to the show. Morning, everybody.
I also cannot see anything up here, so I'm sure there are many people I'd like to say hello to individually, but I cannot see anyone. So.
I gotta tell you, Tim's funny, but he can be a little ornery too. He's like, shut up, Tom. Do I have to wait for the warm-up act? Can't I just get straight out there?
I think it's funny we're doing this in the wrong order. This is like we just have the Rolling Stones and now we've got like Herman's Hermits here. But we'll do our best.
You gotta laugh at our Herman. I told you he was funny, that's good. All right, so one thing, I've known Tim since he started with the governor. It was pretty much the first day, and I remember our very first conversation. I said, Tim, I don't know if you understand this, but half of your job is going around explaining to people what you actually do. So that's what we're going to do here today. I'm going to start with this. Tim has worked in New York City with Mayor Bloomberg. He's worked in Connecticut, had the opportunity to come home. And the governor talked to you about wanting to create an innovative economy. When you're someone who does what you do, those words have to be magic to your ears. What did you think of when you first heard of that?
Yeah, it was kind of a dream come true. So I'm from Jersey originally, for those who don't know. I grew up in Bergen County, way north Jersey.
Don Bosco Prep, right?
Bergen Catholic. My God. That was fighting words. I gotta go. I grew up in Bergen County and got a chance to come home and got to know then candidate Phil Murphy, who of course became Governor Murphy. And in all of our early chats, we talked about the innovation economy, we talked about startups, we talked about everything that the governor just said. One of the things you gotta love about Phil Murphy is he's been the same guy he's been from the first time he ran for office through 7 years now of being governor, particularly as it relates to economic development. Innovation economy, investing in small business, investing in our communities have been sort of the tentpoles of what we do. And the innovation economy, again, we're not the only state to think we ought to focus on the innovation economy. Every state's got an innovation strategy. It's because, one, New Jersey has a deep heritage of innovation. Brunswick is one of the beating hearts of that heritage, Middlesex County too. But also because that's how you get durable job creation in any good, thriving, growing economy, is when young companies, small companies, grow and scale and go from the proverbial 1 to 2 people hanging out in a garage or playing around with a microscope, which is going to now happen at the Helix more often, turn into the next Johnson & Johnsons or Mercks of the world. And New Jersey is really, blessed to have such great, big Fortune 500, Fortune 50 in many cases, corporate citizens, and we love Most of them have been here for a long time and they're growing a long time ago. We want to see more new young companies grow and scale and turn into companies like CoreWeave, which is now a living, breathing example of what we're talking about up in Essex County in Roseland, which is now one of the world's leading AI companies that calls New Jersey home. Started in New Jersey, started by a couple of Jersey guys in an actual garage. So that's why I think Governor Murphy's been focused on this for so long, is because that's how you get durable, enduring, outsized job creation.
We're talking about garages. There's going to be a seminar on housing shortage coming soon. Look, Tim and I have talked a lot of time, and we talked about these startups and doing it. One thing I have to say about the EDA is Tim and his team oversee like 846 different programs. It's unbelievable what they do. But there's one, I'm going to put words in Tim's mouth, that if he had to talk about that really is unique, it's the Evergreen Innovation Fund. It's something that we do that nobody else does, and it's something that's really going to help us do what you just said. So again, explain to them what this means and how much it's going to help the state.
Yeah, broadly speaking, right, the innovation strategy pivots around 3 pillars: talent, capital, and real estate. Capital's in the middle, I should put that last, do that last. Talent, you heard the governor talking about Rutgers and Princeton and Middlesex College and all the wonderful things we do to support, largely outside the EDA, to support workforce development and to maintain our huge competitive advantage in talent. Real estate, things like the Helix, things like sites like City, things like Hacks up in Newark, where we're bringing innovators together. But capital is really important to it. It's the lifeblood of any growing and thriving company, any growing and thriving innovation ecosystem. So the Evergreen Fund, and the governor talked a bit about this, this emanates from the thesis that he described of it's cheaper and more effective and more efficient to help birth young companies than to buy big companies. And we do both. But trying to create more companies that are growing and scaling in Jersey. So we took the logic of tax credits and inverted it, flipped it on its head. And so we're going to auction corporate tax credits to New Jersey taxpayers who are not shy of mentioning that they think they pay a fair bit of taxes in New Jersey. And we're going to give them a slight discount on their taxes. In exchange, we're going to ask them to participate in this fund, this Innovation Evergreen Fund, and participate in sort of the care and feeding of the innovation ecosystem. That could be supporting startups directly, that could be committing to buy a certain amount of their IT spend from New Jersey startups, that could be mentorships, internships, we take any variety of forms. We take those proceeds, and in the first auction we raised a little more than $50 million, a little less than $50 million in tax credit proceeds, and invest those directly in young, growing New Jersey startups. Importantly, we are matching dollar for dollar with real venture capitalists. The governor's got a commercial background par excellence, but most of us are not experienced investors. And if we were, we wouldn't be working for the government. Investors bring us ideas, venture capital firms bring us ideas of companies that are either in New Jersey or thinking about being in Jersey that are early stage, young, growing companies, and we match them dollar for dollar. And it's not a grant, by the way, we're in on the equity line. So if we help create the next CoreWeave or Tesla, or that's a complicated one to cite, but whatever, they make nice cars. We're along for the ride on the return side as well. So helping to pay for all the things that we need to pay for in the budget. We actually just met, timing's good. We just met yesterday. We've invested in 4 companies, a medical device company, 2 software companies, 2.5, 3 software companies, depending on both of them. We've invested in 4 companies so far. We had that portfolio together yesterday with the governor. And it was really exciting to hear the stories of these quintessential entrepreneurs, some who moved to Jersey from around the world, some who've been lifelong Jersey folks, growing and investing and having these exciting companies that, most of them are going to fail, by the way. Full transparency. The thing, again, another thing you have to give Governor Murphy a tremendous amount of credit for is having the stomach politically to make a lot of early stage investments, whether it's in the Innovation Evergreen Fund, the Innovation Fellows Program, the Angel Tax Credit Program. We invest a lot of money in early stage companies. Most of them fail. That's how early stage companies work. But when you look at it across a portfolio, if one of those 4, which would be a huge betting, which we've got to put some more bets out, but if one of those 4 companies makes it big, it's going to be the best investment we ever made across the entire portfolio. So it's a huge game changer. Each one of these companies we were with yesterday has investors who are based out of the state who could not believe, 3 of the 4 are out of state, who could not believe New Jersey has a program like this. California doesn't have this, New York, Texas, Austin, nobody's got anything quite like this. So it's pretty damn exciting.
So New Jersey's ahead of the curve state, but I think all of us here know that when you think about New Jersey, we're really a good fellows state, right? I mean, that's sort of the essence of who we are. And now I'm hearing the EDAs come
You're
up.
wandering into like complicated, politics.
We set them up and knock them down. So Tim mentioned the Innovation Fellows thing, which sounds like something a snobby university like Oxford or Cambridge or Georgetown would come up with. Talk about the Innovation Fellows, what that means and how that's going to help the state.
Bosco jokes and Georgetown jokes for the first 10 minutes, Tom. This is the last time we ever do this. The Innovation Fellows Program is a really cool one. So again, every state has an innovation strategy. New Jersey, not only do we want to be bigger, stronger, badder than most of our competitors, badder in a good way, than most of our competitors, we also are trying to build the most diverse and inclusive innovation ecosystem in America. That's part of our competitive advantage, is that we have a wonderful diversity in our communities, whether that's race or gender, whether that's folks with immigrant communities, diaspora communities from all over the world. We've got everybody in Jersey, and so we think we want to build an innovation ecosystem that looks like Jersey, that has full participation of women, communities of color, veteran community, the immigrant community. We want to build that. That's a lot easier said than done, although it starts by saying it, and most other states don't say that. One of the things that is a huge barrier to entry for every innovator is access to capital. Lots of people who have done really well starting companies started off by having done pretty well doing something else. They have money, they have excess capital, or they have friends and family. They've got mom or dad or a rich uncle or somebody that they can borrow a couple $100,000 from to start a company. That's not their life experience. I suspect it's not the life experience for most of the people in the room. And so the opportunity to start new companies is limited by that factor. So what we've done with the Innovation Fellows Program is, again, this is pretty high risk. A lot of these companies are going to fail. Most of them are going to fail. We're providing grants of up to $400,000 to teams of founders to essentially do salary replacement, to take the leap. If you're at a company now, or doing something else, or you're doing anything, you're a teacher, you're a plumber, you're doing whatever you're doing, and you've got an idea to start a new high-growth business, you can't necessarily tell your mortgage banker that you're going to go with that salary for 2 or 3 years, not to mention your spouse or your kids. So we're providing these grants of up to $400,000 to young early-stage innovators to take the leap and start businesses. And we've awarded the first cohort of grants. We're reviewing applications for the second cohort. We've got a third one coming behind it, thanks to funding that the governor put behind it. So not everybody's got friends and family who can spot them. The state of New Jersey, Governor Murphy, our team, we're doing our best to be friends and family, particularly to underserved, historically locked out of entrepreneurial opportunities. It's women, people of color. Something like 1.4% of all the venture capital invested in America goes to companies founded by African Americans. About a similar amount goes to Latino founders. If you cross-multiply that by women, so women of color, it's like 0.7%. That sucks. One, it's a justice and equity thing. Period, end of sentence. It's a huge problem. Two, it's a huge missed opportunity. These are business plans and dreams and founders that could create tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs here in Jersey. Let's go.
So when we talk to the EDA and we talk about high-blown things like innovation, and we talk about tech, and we talk about angel investors, and we talk about AI, it's all good, and we're all in favor of it. One thing that I don't think that people truly understand about the EDA is some of the other work that they're doing. During COVID and following, they came up with a program that one publication called the most impressive COVID response program in the history of the country. It was just fabulous. What Tim and the EDA are doing for food insecurity, which is a real polite way of saying people don't have enough to eat, is incredible. And I don't think here people know what the government, what the EDA is doing to battle that. You've got a great team, a number of programs. Enlighten us, because it's really impressive.
Thank you, Tom. So I think under Governor Murphy's leadership, one of the things I'm really proud that we've done at the EDA is sort of an article of faith level assumption. We've thought about economic security as key to economic growth. If folks don't have the credentials they need, and lots of folks work on workforce things, but if they don't have the credentials they need, if they're going to bed hungry, if they are unable to get childcare for their children, it's very difficult to power the economy. These are economic infrastructure type issues. And food insecurity is one of those critical issues. And even if we weren't in Middlesex County, it's going to give a big shout out to Speaker Coughlin, who's made food insecurity, or attacking food insecurity, a huge plank of his leadership as Speaker of the General Assembly, and something he and the governor work incredibly well together on. So the program Tom mentioned is called Sustain and Serve. So this is during the pandemic. This is when particularly restaurants were, you can make race to the bottom. You don't want to win this competition, but the restaurant industry was probably the hardest hit sort of subsector of the economy. When, people weren't going out to eat. They were closed for a while, and then even when people could go out, they stopped. People were policing themselves and staying home. We were running lots of grant programs I'm really proud of that were essentially just giving federal money out to businesses to help them stay alive, and that was sustainment money, and we supported over 80,000 businesses throughout the state, which is a lot. I think we're number 3 or 4 on all the states, not that we're competitive. But at some point, it dawned on us, and this was a part inspired by Newark Working Kitchens up in Newark, at a time in which restaurants are desperate for business, there was also surging food insecurity. So instead of just giving businesses money, why don't we buy, I'm going to use bad words, a big bunch of meals, a lot of meals, buy meals in bulk, fund nonprofits to buy food from these restaurants and give it to folks who need a decent meal. Because we're going to give them the money anyway. Why not buy the food, keep them in business, keep people employed, and help people eat?
Is that incredible?
Yeah, it was pretty great.
It's very simple, but nobody else thought of it except for New Jersey.
And so we ended up investing, Tara will kill me if I get these numbers wrong, I think it's $57 or so million, which is, it started as a $1 million pilot sort of late in 2020 when we were trying to figure out innovative ideas, and it blossomed into this great big thing. And that has now led to, and that is built on the foundation, again, big hat tip to Speaker Coughlin, including in the Economic Recovery Act. We have $250 million in tax credits to support food security. Some of that's going to be trying to build grocery stores in food deserts. Some of that's going to be trying to do things like Sustain and Serve that are trying to sort of shift the market and sort of shape, change the model, do system reform or system change. We've rolled that out in Atlantic City, which is one of the most acute. The number one worst food desert is Camden. Number 2 is Atlantic City. The challenges of developing a grocery store in Atlantic City are pretty well known. Last fall, the governor gave us a pretty strong directive of, still work on a grocery store, but folks need to eat now. Put some plans together, and we'll likely blow that playbook out statewide sometime later this year, early next year. Because food security, again, if folks, food is a big business in New Jersey, so supporting that sector, supporting the restaurant sector, the grocery store sector, the corner store sector, employ a lot of people. These are sort of quintessential small businesses. But it also matters a great deal that kids and families have something to eat. It's a justice thing. People should be able to feed themselves if they live in the wealthiest state in New Jersey, the wealthiest state in the world. It's a crime, it's a sin. Folks can eat.
You guys getting a little insight into what the EDA does? We're going to close by giving you a little insight into the man, Tim Sullivan. We like to have fun questions at the end. Always good. I was going to make
fun yet?
I was going to make a joke about Tim going to George Washington, but no, he actually went to Georgetown. We discussed a little Hoya paranoia, so I'm going to start number 1. Your favorite, most impactful, most influential, a member of the Georgetown family, Dikembe Mutombo, one of the great humanitarians of the planet, left us recently. So I'm going to ask Tim, and he and I have talked about this ad nauseum. Dikembe, Ewing, Allen Iverson, Sleepy Floyd, I'm a Reggie Williams guy. Who is your favorite Georgetown basketball player?
So I also grew up a Knicks fan, so Patrick has a special place, although he didn't win a lot of fans by coming back and not being the world's best head coach of our team. I'm going to go with Jeff Green and Roy Hibbert, because we went to the Final Four in 2007, which was pretty special, and Roy was an incredibly special player.
There you go. All right.
We beat North Carolina at the Brendan Byrne, whatever it's called now, Continental, to go to the Final Four.
Anytime you beat North Carolina, it's a good thing. I'll just leave it at that.
Down 10 with
This is what we normally talk about when we're not doing business. Tim's a funny guy, so I'm going to ask him, favorite TV show, I'm going to give him 3 choices. Seinfeld, The Office, or Modern Family. What do you like?
So all wonderful choices. Seinfeld is the very easy choice, though.
It's like we got the Merv Griffin set up here on the Seinfeld.
Exactly. You are quite the Kramer of this operation.
I have the note here, any answer other than Friends is acceptable, so we're all good there.
It's fine. It's no Seinfeld.
We joked by starting about the Rolling Stones and Herman Hermits, which is an unbelievable reference here. So I always love to ask this one of my guests. What was the first concert you went to and where was it?
Paul McCartney with my parents at Old Giant Stadium. I want to say that was 1991, maybe 1990, something like that. Pretty damn good. He played Hey Jude. It was like a 17.5-minute version of Hey Jude. And I think that was like 8 or 9. I was like, this song really keeps going, huh? And my dad would say, shut up, it's amazing. This is like a 17-minute version of Hey Jude, shut up. That was pretty special. It was either that or Billy Joel at Yankee Stadium. I forget which came first. Billy Joel at Yankee Stadium, similar time frame.
People always ask me for me in the same week at the Cap Center in DC, Landover, Maryland. I saw the Police, and then at the end of the week I saw Prince. Not a bad opening week of the concert season. So talk amongst yourselves. We're networking on the first concert. It's always a good opener. I'm Tom. This is Tim. Round of applause for the head of the